Saludos amigas y amigos del EcoExploratorio Museo de Ciencias de Puerto Rico. Muy buenas tardes y bienvenidas y bienvenidos a Ciencia Virtual, nuestro programa de educación en línea, traído a ustedes por nuestros auspiciadores, por Amgen, First Bank, Goya, Cooper Vision, Donativos Legislativos, NASA Puerto Rico Spacecraft Consortium, NASA, WAPA y WKQ 580. Durante el día de hoy tendremos como sesión especial la entrevista en vivo que estará realizando nuestra presidenta y fundadora del EcoExploratorio, la meteoróloga Ada Monzón, al doctor Lance Bush, celebrando el National Space Day. Pero aprovechamos antes de comenzar para recordarles que mañana en Ciencia Virtual estaremos celebrando el Día Mundial de las Aves Migratorias. Nuestros educadores Luis Fernández y Atenas Leandri nos estarán acompañando mañana a las 3 de la tarde para conocer más sobre las diferentes especies de aves migratorias que visitan a Puerto Rico, y también estaremos realizando unas pequeñas actividades interactivas que ustedes pueden también realizar en sus hogares. Eso será mañana a las 3 de la tarde. Ahora comenzamos con nuestra entrevista en vivo junto a la meteoróloga y fundadora del EcoExploratorio, Ada Monzón, con el Dr. Lance Bush, quien es presidente y CEO del Challenger Center. Muy buenas tardes. Pues antes de comenzar, disculpen, debo recordarles que pueden enviar sus preguntas en la sección de los comentarios a través de Facebook, y si nos están viendo a través de Zoom, pueden hacer lo mismo a través de la sección de Q&A o a través del chat. La entrevista va a ser en inglés, pero a través de la entrevista estaremos traduciendo para beneficio de todos. Ahora con ustedes, me gustaría comenzar primero que todo presentando a nuestra fundadora, la meteoróloga Ada Monzón, y le estaré leyendo también una pequeña biografía de nuestro invitado especial, el doctor Lance Bush. Saludos, Ada, ¿cómo estás?
Saludos, muy buenas tardes a todos. Qué placer, estoy extremadamente feliz de estar con ustedes porque tenemos una entrevista muy especial para nuestros niños, nuestros jóvenes y todos los que disfrutamos el tema del espacio.
Excelente. Y para entonces pasar con el doctor Lance Bush, me gustaría leer, en este caso en inglés, una corta biografía de su parte. Lance Bush is president and CEO of Challenger Center. With a goal to inspire more students, Dr. Bush has led the growth and expansion of the organization, including the development of a simulation-based program that can be delivered in the classroom. Under Dr. Bush's leadership, Challenger Center was recognized with the National Science Board's Public Service Award for its work to promote a public understanding of science and engineering. Dr. Bush started with his career at NASA and one of the chief engineers designing the next generation space transportation. He managed the International Space Station Commercial Development Program. He also co-founded and served as the chairman of the International Space Station Multilateral Commercialization Group, comprised of the 5 partner space agencies: Canada, Europe, Japan, Russia, and the United States, and 16 countries. Prior to Challenger Center, Dr. Bush served as the Chief Strategic Officer at Pentagon Space Development Corporation, a space vehicle design and building company. He helped grow and mature the firm to become nationally recognized, and as a result, Paragon was included on the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies listed for 5 straight years. Dr. Bush is a member of the Cosmos Club, a president of the Sea Space Symposium, and founder and an advisor board member of Space Generation Advisory Council. He has previously held positions including board member of International Space University, Chair of Education for World Space Congress, and Vice President of Education for American Astronautical Society. Dr. Bush holds a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from Pennsylvania State University, a master's degree in mechanical engineering from Old Dominion University, and a PhD in technological policy and management from the Pennsylvania State University, along with an SSP from International Space University. Without further ado, I'll present Dr. Lance Bush.
Thank you for having me here. I think we've used up all my time with that introduction, but I'm very much looking forward to talking with everyone, and glad to be on here with Ada, my friend, and we were talking science issues just before we came on. So I'm looking forward to a further conversation with her.
Thank you, Dr. Lance Bush. It's our pleasure to have you today. Let me translate a little bit in Spanish for the benefit of our viewers. Primero que todo, bienvenidos a todos los que están a través de Zoom, a través de las redes sociales de Facebook. Esta entrevista es muy especial porque el Dr. Lance Bush es el presidente, el líder de una fundación que trabaja para la educación aeroespacial que se llama el Challenger Center. Y si el nombre Challenger le hace un tic, es porque definitivamente es de las misiones de NASA del transbordador espacial y honran la misión y sobre todo lo que hacen los astronautas hoy en día en la exploración espacial a través de este centro educativo. Y es un centro que nosotros queremos tener tenemos una alianza ya con ellos con el fin de que eventualmente haya un Challenger Center con el EcoExploratorio. Así que para nosotros es bien importante tener esta conversación con el Dr. Lance Bush, quien es ingeniero aeroespacial. Dr. Bush, first of all, I would like to thank you for taking the time and helping us celebrate the National Space Day with EcoExploratorio. What does this mean to you?
Wow. Well, first of all, you know, almost my entire career and a good part of my youth was spent thinking about space. So obviously it is a big deal for me. And I look at, you know, when I look out and think about the cosmos, I'm often thinking about the future of humanity. It's not just a place of dreams, but it's of significance to us as humans. And that means different, you know, there are some people say it's because we need a planet B or we need to expand out there. And some say it's also helps to be self-introspective of what we see in ourselves here and how it helps us here. And we can talk more about all that, but it means a lot to me. A day doesn't go by that I'm not thinking about space and how we use our exploration, utilization of it for the betterment of humanity in general and the rest of our Earth.
Okay, I'll be translating. Yo le pregunté porque hoy es el Día Nacional del Espacio, así que cómo él está celebrando este día tan especial con nosotros y él dice que para él es de mucho significado. Para él la exploración espacial no solamente pensar en sueños, ¿verdad? Pero también en nuestra propia humanidad, cómo el cosmos es el futuro del ser humano y que no pasa un solo día sin que él piense en ese futuro. Dr. Bush, how were you as a kid? Were you interested in science? Because we have so many kids that are watching right now. You know, perhaps you are an inspiration for them.
Thank you. So, for the children who are listening and you're interested in science, you are well on your way because you're already asking the questions. And I had so many colleagues at NASA who have a story that sounds like this, that, you know, at the age of 5 or 7 or something, they looked at the stars or they watched some space event and it inspired them to want to be a part of that. That was many of my colleagues. So for those of you who are already engaged in this, you're well on your way. That's all you need is the dream. I have to admit that wasn't me exactly, because I grew up in a say less than affluent community. I grew up in a coal mining village of less than 100 people in the mountains, and I didn't have a lot of role models, and I didn't have a lot of vision into the big world. I did see some space events. I got to see people walk on the moon when I was a young child, and I thought it was really cool, but I didn't even have enough inspiration or hope at that point in my life that that would be me. What I did know is that I wanted to do something interesting and important. And I got a lot of people who helped me along the way. And I was able to have this amazing career where I worked at NASA, designed space vehicles, and helped change the future. So whether you right now love this path, or you're still figuring out where you're going, or you think maybe I couldn't get there, don't believe, every one of you could be where you want to be, and you could become, have a cool career in space exploration or utilization.
Bueno, yo le pregunté que cómo él era de chiquito, ¿verdad? Porque todos queremos saber cómo estos modelos que nosotros tenemos eventualmente a lo largo de su vida se convierten, como el Dr. Bush, en un ingeniero aeroespacial. Y él dice que él, a diferencia de muchas personas que trabajan en NASA o en estas carreras del espacio, incluso astronautas, generalmente ellos dicen, pues cuando yo tenía 4 o 5 años, pues yo vi un evento del espacio, estuve en una actividad, me gustaban las estrellas, y siempre hay un recuerdo que para él venía de una comunidad minera bien pequeñita en Estados Unidos, y realmente no había mucho modelo a seguir, pero sí él había visto caminatas de astronautas en el espacio, pero él sí sabía que él quería hacer la diferencia, él quería hacer algo diferente, él quería construir algo nuevo, y que la vida lo llevó a ser parte de un diseño de vehículos para NASA. Así que esa parte de ingeniería, a lo mejor con cosas pequeñas que a veces uno tiene y uno hace en su vida, te pueden llevar a cosas más grandes y que jamás desistas de tu sueño. Dr. Lance, how was your career? You became an engineer. Where did you go to study? And how did you came into NASA?
Oh, I studied aerospace engineering at Penn State University, and I was very lucky to join NASA right out of college. And not just NASA, but I was able to join the legendary group who designed Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo at NASA Langley Research Center. And for any of you who've seen the movie Hidden Figures, that is where that movie took place. And actually the group I joined was the group that those ladies were in. And in fact, my first year there was the last year of Katherine Johnson, one of the key figures in that movie. And so all the people who were my mentors when I joined NASA were brilliant, passionate, dedicated to exploration of space. And so, I had some luck along the way. I worked really hard to get there because, college was a challenge for me. I'll be honest, I wasn't, it wasn't like I was just brilliant and I went right through it. I mean, I had to really work hard. So when I got to NASA, I was just thrilled to be able to work in that environment. And I did the best I could to help in every step of the way. And there were a lot of things that happened after that, but I'm going to pause here so you can translate a little bit.
Bueno, él estudió ingeniería aeroespacial, para que escuchen bien, en Penn State University. Y él tuvo que trabajar muy, muy duro a través de su carrera, porque estas no son carreras fáciles. Pero de nuevo, persistencia es la clave en cualquier carrera donde envuelva ciencia, tecnología, ingeniería y matemática. Pero él salió de la universidad y se fue a trabajar a NASA, y precisamente muchos de sus mentores eran del programa de Apolo y Gemini Mercurio. ¿Ustedes vieron la película Hidden Figures? Pues precisamente ustedes vieron específicamente el área donde él se formó. Con esas personas él se formó, ¿verdad? Que relatan en la película, inclusive la señora Katherine Johnson, que es la que ahora mismo pues tiene hasta un nombre su edificio dentro de NASA, pues esa es su formación y gracias a ellos él es quien él es hoy. Dr. Lance, and how then you learned about the Challenger Center and how did you become part of this family?
Great question. Thank you, Ada. So, you know, it's interesting where my career is because when I started at NASA, I had just started months prior to the Challenger accident, the Space Shuttle Challenger accident. And so I was a young engineer at NASA and was being asked to look at designs to replace the shuttle and was looking at that. And so it was a real part of my education as a professional to be concerned about the safety of our astronauts and humanity and our future. And when I started at NASA, one of my first weeks there, the head of the division came into the meeting room, and this is the meeting room that was where the Mercury 7, the original 7 astronauts had their place. But the division chief gave a briefing on all our projects, of which I understood none of it because he used so many acronyms that I was lost. But I was going to catch up. But at the end of it, he asked me, he said to the crowd, he said, oh, almost with disdain when he was done, he said, Poquoson Elementary School just called and wants a speaker for their 3rd grade class again. And I thought, wow, I get to be a space vehicle designer and I get to talk to kids about it. This is great. And so I thought, oh, but I'm never going to get this job. I'm the new guy. So I raised my hand like I'm still in college and thinking, and I looked around to see who my competition was. Every other engineer had their head down like this, trying to avoid being picked for this job because, you know, some of us engineers are introverts or shy, but I got picked. And the division chief said, here you go, gave me the number of the school. I went off, I had the best time with these kids. They designed a space vehicle with me. I think it had a hot tub. It was the coolest space vehicle I've ever designed. And so I got involved throughout my career. I was one of the top speaker, you know, just being out there a lot for NASA, talking to students, talking to the public, loved it. And I volunteered all my life and even started a group at the United Nations of young people that's has a permanent observer member status at the Committee on Peaceful Use of Outer Space. And so I did all these other things you guys mentioned. And at some point, Challenger Center called and said, hey, Lance, we know you've run businesses, you've designed space vehicles, you're the successful businessman, but you've always really enjoyed talking with students, helping them to the next step as volunteer. And we want somebody to help us get to more students around the globe. And you know, we can't pay you what you're making, or there's no stocks or, you know, corporate jets or anything, but we think you love the kids and we think you're coming here to help run our organization. And it took me about 2 seconds and I said, darn it, you're right, I am coming. I do like that. And that was 10 years ago. And I love the job. Even though I design space vehicles for a living, this is the best job I've ever had, working with students and the hope of the future.
Para el doctor Bush, él dice que ser parte, yo le pregunté cómo él había entonces llegado a, ¿verdad?, de trabajar en NASA, en la industria aeroespacial, cómo entonces él llegó a ser parte de la familia del Challenger Center. Y él dice que cuando él empezó su trabajo en NASA fue precisamente después del accidente de la nave del Challenger, del transbordador espacial Challenger, que lamentablemente explotó a pocos segundos de haber sido lanzado hacia la Estación Espacial Internacional, donde murieron pues todos los tripulantes. Y él comenzó a trabajar en NASA porque iban a empezar a diseñar nuevos vehículos para asegurar la vida de los futuros astronautas. Entonces, en ese proceso, ¿verdad?, de tratar de pensar en un futuro, ¿verdad?, que es lo que más bien hace NASA, todo el tiempo es pensando en ese futuro. Entonces, él precisamente fue creciendo en la institución, y un día en una reunión llega el administrador de esa área y va a buscar y pide reclutar uno de los ingenieros para que vaya a dar una charla a una clase de 3er grado. Y nadie levantó la mano más que él. Y él dice, los ingenieros son generalmente un poquito introvertidos, pero yo no. Y ha sido una de las mejores experiencias que he tenido en mi vida, porque ahí fue que aprendí que me encantaba dar esta parte educativa de la ciencia. Diseñamos un vehículo que hasta tenía un super baño para los astronautas. Yo me imagino que eso es un lujo. Y por otro lado, pues, cuando entonces pues llegó el momento, la fundación del Challenger pues le hace el acercamiento hace 10 años y le dijo, tú que sabes tanto, ya has diseñado vehículos, has trabajado en la industria aeroespacial, es momento de que decidas si quieres educar. Y él dijo que sí, así que lleva como líder de esta organización y dice que es el mejor trabajo del mundo. Dr. Lance, then can you perhaps explain a little bit of what happened with the Challenger? Because I'm sure that we have so many kids that do not know, especially here in Puerto Rico, what happened with the space shuttle program and specifically with the Challenger. Why is this center named after the Challenger?
Oh, thank you, Ada, for raising that. Yeah, it happened so long ago. This has happened before your students' time. So NASA developed a space vehicle, the shuttle, big wing vehicle. I'm sure you've seen pictures of it, but really, you know, while it was very technologically advanced, it was one of the first reusable space vehicles of its time, and the first that ever flew back with wings. It was designed. It was an incredibly complex vehicle, you know, hundreds of thousands of people just in the operations of it. But some simple things made it fail. It actually had a design flaw in the solid rocket boosters and how they are put together. They're so big. These things are, you know, millions of pounds of thrust coming out of them. And they had a little failure in the sense that it would burn. It would create it actually burned through its container and ignited all the fuel for all of the shuttle. So about 73 seconds after the launch of the Space Shuttle Challenger, with the full crew on board, an amazing crew, the most diverse crew, and very accomplished. That shuttle exploded on ascent, and so it was a huge tragedy, a huge loss for the space program. The first shuttle that we ever lost, first in flight that we lost somebody. So it was a real step back and a real moment for us to think about how we look at our designs and safety. But what I do want to tell you is that you could see this whole story and the beautiful people involved in it and their families and everybody. There is a Netflix series about Challenger that just came out last year. It's an incredible documentary, very highly rated, and most of it is very uplifting because it's telling a story of the time of these fantastic people in that era. And I highly recommend it. So if anybody wants to get a little, and we were involved, and I will disclose, we were involved. We were asked from the beginning to work with them, with the families that we knew from. So my organization was started by the families of the Space Shuttle Challenger astronauts, and they're still on our board of directors and advisors, board of advisors.
Yo le pregunté para que repasara, ¿verdad? Porque yo sé que muchos de ustedes tal vez, y sobre todo los niños y jóvenes, no saben lo que es el Challenger. Y el Challenger fue uno de los transbordadores espaciales que fue la próxima misión después de Apolo que llevó a los astronautas al espacio. En esta ocasión no iban a ir a la Luna, en esta ocasión era para construir un laboratorio en el espacio que es la Estación Espacial Internacional, que todos ustedes pues incluso la pueden ver cuando pasa sobre Puerto Rico. Así que el transbordador iba llevando piezas y piezas y habían, there were 5, right? 5 space shuttle vehicles. 5. It was the Columbia, Challenger,
Oh, yes.
Endeavour, right? So, habían 5 de estos vehículos y la diferencia de este vehículo tan espectacular y gigantesco, yo creo que para mí yo vi 2 de los despegues de esto, y era una cosa de verdad imponente. Más de 100,000 personas trabajaron en la construcción de este vehículo, ¿ok? De todos estos vehículos. Y había un problema aparentemente en el diseño de los tanques de combustible, que para poder generar el subir esta nave, que a su vez tenía alas, era la primera nave con alas que iba al espacio. Entonces hubo un problema y lamentablemente 73 segundos, o sea, al minuto y medio prácticamente de ascender, la nave con los tanques de combustible, todo explota y los astronautas lamentablemente pierden la vida. Así que los familiares del Challenger se unen y es lo que da origen a este centro del Challenger Center, con el fin de poder establecer un legado. Y de hecho, al sol de hoy, estos familiares de la tripulación del Challenger son miembros de la junta de directores de esta organización. Y si ustedes desean ver más detalles, que les recomiendo que lo hagan porque es un documental precioso, está en Netflix y se llama Challenger. Así que no dejen de verlo, a lo mejor pueden sacar un ratito este fin de semana y de hecho fue hecho con ellos mismos con el fin de poder mantener la voz. La primera maestra de ciencia en ir a bordo, o sea, una persona que no era astronauta, se convierte en astronauta para poder ir al espacio, es Krista McLaughlin, que es una de las que iba a bordo del Challenger Center, y muchas de las lecciones de ciencia que estaban preparadas para hacerse en el espacio están disponibles hoy para que los estudiantes con sus maestros lo puedan hacer. Así que hay un legado precioso y si alguna vez van a NASA Kennedy Space Center, en donde esté el Atlantis, van a ver un área que es para todos el legado de todas estas personas. I'm telling the whole story because it's such a beautiful story. And I know there's so many people that perhaps do not know about it. And when you go to NASA Kennedy Space Center, and there's this beautiful area with all the memories of all these astronauts, is just so humbling and I mean, so beautiful. So I'm going to let you, Dr. Lenz, do your presentation. If you have a presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can share screen now.
Oh.
Él va a dar una presentación ahora, él va a compartir su pantalla para entonces hablar un poco más.
Okay, Ada, I'm going to make sure I pause appropriately after each slide, and then you can translate. Is that what you want?
You know what we can do? I think that everybody can follow what's written in the slides, and if you don't mind, I'll stop you. Let me pause, and I'll keep making notes, and I'll go along with you. Okay? Don't pause for me.
Then you tell me if you want me to stop, you interrupt me.
Exactly.
Okay, good. I don't see the slides now. Are they up?
I don't see them. Did you share a screen?
Having a little bit of a technical problem. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, we're
Ok, estamos teniendo un pequeñito problema técnico. Denos un segundito en lo que ahora va a subir. Perfecto. Ahí sube la presentación. Mientras él habla, yo voy a ir traduciéndoles, ¿verdad? Hago una pausa y les voy traduciendo. Ok, go ahead, Dr. Lenz. Si tienen preguntas, recuerden que pueden irlas haciendo a través del Q&A o del chat, y si no, a través de Facebook las van escribiendo. De hecho, el título del documental en Netflix se llama Challenger, The Final Flight. El último vuelo, Challenger, The Final Flight. Y para los que están en Zoom y en el chat, pueden buscar ahí el website también del Challenger Center, que ellos tienen una página de internet.
So I think I have one of my team members working with one of your team members.
Let me ask, someone asked, what has been the major challenge in your career, and how did, this is from Maria Lopez Rodriguez, what has been the major challenge in your career, and how did you handle it? Oh, that's a difficult one.
Oh, it is a tough question. Thank you, Maria. So for the question, you know, I can't remember like one moment, I would say, but that's not to say I haven't had a lot of failures and a lot of challenging moments in my career. I think it's important for people to know, especially when they see successful people, that to get when you're successful, you've tried lots of things. You've been down a lot of roads. You've made risks. You've taken risks, and so I would say for me, my biggest growth has come from actually understanding, gaining my own humanity and understanding better others, and how best to work with, you know, a team and a group, and motivate people forward. And you know, that's the important lessons, because the other things, you know, being a rocket scientist, or, you know, there's a certain amount of knowledge you can just gain through that. But the world is a much better place because of the work we can do when we collaborate. And so to me, my biggest challenges were, you know, bringing groups of people, you know, very different groups of people together. I talked about an effort I did at the United Nations, and we had, you know, hundreds of people from, you know, like 80 countries come together who'd never been together before, and came out with an amazing output. And in fact, that group of people, they were young people at the time, they were in their early 20s, and that group of people then became the president of Virgin Galactic Company, the Carl Sagan Professor of Astronomy at Cornell, the founders of Planet Labs, which is $1 billion, you know, microsatellite company. Those were all part of that group that I helped form. And so learning those lessons, the biggest challenge, but also the most rewarding in my life.
Let me translate that. Él dice que más allá de un reto, o sea, lo mejor que ha podido sacar es la capacidad de trabajar en equipo, de poder conectar personas, de hacer proyectos que han permitido que otras personas crezcan. Por ejemplo, ese proyecto de las Naciones Unidas que él ha estado trabajando, hoy en día son fundadores, por ejemplo, de Virgin Galactica, personas que han tenido premios como de Carl Sagan en Cornell, personas que han estado, por ejemplo, fundadores de Planet Lab. Nada más pensar en la diversidad de los grupos, ¿verdad? Eso es algo que llena mucho. Y yo puedo dar fe de eso porque el mismo EcoExploratorio ha sido un centro, ¿verdad?, de gravedad para muchas personas. Y ver, ¿verdad?, con los años, cómo todo eso prospera y dónde está esta persona que vino y ahora está trabajando en ciencia o está estudiando. Esas son cosas que llenan mucho y realmente da propósito. I think that you find purpose, right, Dr. Lance? By doing all these projects and being part of bringing opportunities to others, it is very important because it's satisfying, and at the same time, you know that you're doing something greater than even what you can even imagine.
Exactly. So I want to tell you my support team in communications and technology had a computer problem and they're restarting. They have to restart their computer. So my presentation is on hold. So if we have more questions,
yes,
let's keep doing that.
Yeah, he said, Gilberto Alvarado said, how does the Challenger incident you think influence your professional career? Man, these are very tough questions.
Yeah, you have a tough crowd. I didn't realize this was going to be such a thoughtful group. I mean, you know, this is deep, you know, into the soul here. Wow, my entire life has been affected by that. You know, I joined NASA and it opened my eyes even bigger to the responsibility I had as a space vehicle designer, that people's lives depend on what I do. But also, you know, that they gave their lives for the future of humanity, and how and they know every time they go up, it's a risky venture. And so those noble efforts made me realize, redouble my own dedication in my own work throughout my entire career. And therefore, you know, found me here at the end of my career, you know, moving beyond, you know, designing space vehicles and opening the cosmos to commerce. And, you know, I've gotten to be involved in some incredible ventures. I mean, we were involved in helping design the SpaceX Dragon in my early career when I was with another private space company, and designs of Orion space vehicle. And we're partnered with Blue Origin. But right now I see what it helped show me again was there's nothing more important than helping my fellow humanity find their way. And because we need all of us to be working together for the benefit of all of us. And that's what I'm excited about with space, is that it's returned to us. You know, it's a little bit of a mirror. You know, you can get it out of it what you put into it for us. And so, yeah, it's been huge for me. This is where my community is. I talk about community a lot, but my friends, my colleagues, for a lot of my life, the people I respect and I call on in tough times, they're folks that I've worked with in space.
And I'm sure you feel also the responsibility, because it's a legacy. I mean, it's a gift, right? That you've been given. And that's a tough gift. But I'm sure you have many angels around you that allow you to continue moving forward with plenty of success. Let me translate this. Él dice que, respondiendo a la pregunta de, ¿verdad?, de cómo esta situación del Challenger lo afectó a él o lo influenció en su profesión y lo que es él hoy en día, que está liderando este centro. Él dice que es una gran responsabilidad, o sea, lo que él tiene en sus manos, porque esto es un legado enorme. O sea, estas personas estos astronautas dieron la vida de ellos por la exploración del espacio, por la humanidad. ¿Qué sentido más gigantesco y más grande puede ser que eso? O sea, estamos nosotros aquí en la Tierra para perpetuar ese legado. Así que eso ha ayudado a redoblar su dedicación, y ahora más que nunca, que él entiende que es el final de su carrera, pero él entiende que esta es su forma de ayudar a la humanidad para seguir beneficiando a otros. And this is a question I also have, because with all of the situation with COVID, Dr. Bush, many people, you know, in the social media, and I'm sure you have read all of this, they say, oh, we need to invest more in what's happening on Earth than what is happening on Mars, for example, especially when the NASA Perseverance project, you know, was going. You had all these battles on social media, which was totally unnecessary, but we have to respect how people think. What would you say to these people that still believe that we need to not spend money in the space exploration program, but put it back to Earth?
So that's not an either or. Those aren't exclusive from each other. the investments into space, into science are benefits back here. And I am very passionate and very decidedly that in my mind that this is a great investment in it for us in humanity. Let me say, in the last 200 years, humanity has made incredible strides. Prior to that, we were people who were believed in myths about our own health and the way the world worked, and that there were these mythological gods and things that happened that caused us to either die or live or whatever. Over the last 200 years, we've gone from 90% of humanity was in abject poverty to now it's like 10% of people live in poverty, and we need to fix that. We need to make it better, but that's quite a change. And we went from infant mortality has dropped significantly. We've had life expectancy has gained. We've had democracies blossom. Life has just gotten a lot better, and that's due to a lot of this is due to scientific endeavors. Now, when we're going to talk about space specifically, I'm going to use just one example to give you some idea of what is, to answer that. So we, at the early part of the space program, 1962, the space program started by the way, in 1959, but in 1962, some people came up with these little things called integrated circuits. They're basically taking wiring that you wire together electrical things, and they shrunk them down to this little chip, which is what we know today is, computer chips. But back then they were called these integrated circuits. There wasn't anybody who knew actually what to do with them mostly, except for the space program said, we need these small things because we need to put them in the rockets, because the rockets everything needs to be minimized in here to make this thing work. And so the space community and the government was 100% of the market. Those chips were $50 a piece to manufacture. And we were, and there was only about $2 million worth of those chips made in 1962. Because we bought all those chips, we were using them. The manufacturers figured out how to get them from $50 a piece to $2 a piece in 6 years. So 1968, they were down to $2 a piece, at which point private sector bought a bunch of them. The whole market went from $2 million to $312 million. And the government, the space government was only 40% of that market, not 100%. So all those little chips, they're in your phone, they're in the satellites, and so now what they do, they're in the computers that help the people who came up with the solution to the COVID vaccine. So, or many other issues that we've solved. Those same chips solved all kinds of other problems that we have in our society. So we've been paid back many, many, many times. And that's because we chose to go out into space, and we chose to adopt technologies and use new ones and push the limits. And we use satellite. Now we have satellites out there to communicate back all across the globe to each other very rapidly what's happening. And we can understand that things are, where other countries are, and we can predict hurricanes coming and protect ourselves. So yes, we need to go out into space for ourselves. It's a great investment.
Okay. Let me translate this immediately. Muchas personas piensan que con toda esta situación del COVID y todas las situaciones que están pasando en el mundo, o sea, deberíamos de parar el programa de exploración del espacio y meter todo ese dinero en la Tierra. Y él dice, no, es que tú no puedes evitar hacer una o la otra. Tú tienes que hacer ambas porque no son, tú sabes, mutuamente exclusivos. O sea, se pueden ir paralelamente. El mundo hoy es mejor porque hubo un comienzo, un programa del espacio. Y en 1959, que comenzó el programa espacial, o sea, se desarrollaron tecnologías que hoy en día son las que permiten que hasta tengamos una vacuna, tengamos computadoras, tengamos satélites, tenemos teléfonos celulares. O sea, todo lo que se hace para el espacio son tantos los retos para poder explorar que todo eso viene y redunda en beneficio para nuestro planeta Tierra, y por lo tanto no es o sea, no es real el que nosotros dejemos de explorar el espacio. I want to ask you something that was asked. You have millions that have been part of the Challenger Center. Have any of the students that have been part of the Challenger Center are astronauts today or are part of the NASA program?
Yes. So I won't answer that, but I do want to tell you that my tech support people came on. We can show, I'm not going to show all my slides. We've kind of run out of time anyway, but I have a short 3-minute clip that we'd like to show, but
okay.
But let me answer your question first, and then maybe we can go to the short clip. But
okay.
The answer to your question, yes, we have people who were mission directors at NASA, like the flight directors that you see in the control room at NASA. We have people who work at Blue Origin, the space company that Jeff Bezos has, working on their New Shepard program and New Glenn program. We have somebody now down at NASA Johnson Space Center who, and I'm just randomly picking. We've by the way, we've worked with 5.5 million students to date.
Wow.
So I'm picking the random sampling of just some recent people. We have not identified an astronaut yet, but lots of engineers and scientists and doctors and in all walks of life. And we have lots of them find us online and to tell us to thank us for the moment that they had with us and that it led to their career. And so actually, if you go to our website, we have a lot of those stories listed there. And that to us is kind of the big moment of pride or joy that we get is hearing from those alumni. But, you know, we've been talking about Challenger Center and this experience and what it's like. I think the best thing to do is to hear it from the students, to look inside of a Challenger Center and see what this is like. So we have a video queued up here that we can show you. It's just 3 minutes long and we'll let this go.
The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger was dedicated to a mission inspired by education. Though these heroes were tragically lost, their mission would not be forgotten. The families of the crew created Challenger Center for Space Science Education, a way to honor their loved ones while keeping the educational mission alive.
When the kids are here, they realize that science is not something that's scary, and it's not just from a textbook, and this just reinforces the hands-on science that we do in the classroom, and the kids leave very enthusiastic and just loving science.
Challenger Center launches students into space every day, inspiring and engaging them in science, technology, engineering, and math.
This is Space Fact. We conduct a spectrum analysis of unknown objects.
The Challenger Learning Center does indeed make learning fun. It makes me feel kind of proud about myself because I can go back to school and I can share what I learned and show it.
When the students walk through the door of any one of the global centers, they are transformed.
We are starting the landing simulation.
Astronauts, engineers, researchers, and journalists begin working together in mission control in the orbiting space station.
There could be someone in my classroom that could find a cure for cancer someday. I think it's real important for them to understand there are jobs out there that they are quite capable of doing, and some of them were real apprehensive to come in here with everything that they see around them, but to sit and be successful was absolutely fantastic to see.
No, back over.
While students share the thrill of discovery, the simulated environment brings classroom lessons to life and teaches important skills like teamwork and communication.
It would be fair to say learning is fun here because the instructors make it fun and you all have that feeling inside of you that tells you, okay, I've accomplished this, I'm glad that I listened, and you can tell yourself that I can do it.
We read you over.
It's all about innovation. To be able to spend a day being an astronaut or to work in mission control, my dream is that every child can come to the Challenger Learning Center at least once in their lives, and better still, many times.
As a leader in STEM education, Challenger Center's truly unique hands-on learning opportunities leave students with newfound excitement and passion to learn.
I do want to learn more about it. We went up in space and everyone communicated to each other.
Mission Controller, we are looking forward to working with you on today's mission.
Astronauts, are you ready to go?
Great successes start with something that happened in their youth and their childhood, and this is a fantastic experience for all of my students.
Every job involves teamwork somehow to get a job done.
It's this impact and experience that inspires students to pursue careers in these important fields and command their own destinies.
The Challenger Center experience is dynamic and unparalleled to anything else offered to students.
I think the Challenger Learning Center is phenomenal, exciting, amazing, fantastic.
It was an out-of-this-world experience.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, end of test. Roger.
So Ada, now that you've seen those students, you know why I say this is the best job I've ever had. Just any day I get to see that, the hope and the dreams and the optimism of those students who will be our future leaders, then that's a great day.
I understand how beautiful that experience is, because I went to the Tallahassee Challenger Center. So we had a great experience because we wanted to see firsthand what the Challenger Center was. And I really appreciate the opportunity to meet everyone there. But how many Challenger Centers are in the United States?
We have about 40 in 26 states, and we serve about 250,000 students every year there. And remember that, you know, these 250,000 that we're serving, this isn't just kind of, you know, the digital, you know, they click on and like, these are in-person, you know, experiences. But this year we've added in, or last year we started adding in digital programming. We now have classroom adventures, which we can beam right into classrooms anywhere. In fact, we could do this in Puerto Rico, you know, starting, you know, anytime we wanted. And we also have virtual missions, which was something we didn't perceive that we would need, but you know, a little thing called a pandemic happened, and we said, okay, so can we do this in a Zoom environment? And we actually took the whole experience that we do inside of the Challenger Center, modified it, and we can do it in a Zoom environment now for your students who are remote. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's something that we're going to do. Are you excited? Are there any new openings really soon? I saw that in the website.
Yes, thank you for asking. So we are getting ready to open 2 new Challenger Centers in probably the next 7 months. I mean, we're actually building them now. And one is outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and one is outside Detroit, Michigan. 2 big areas, and they will be partnered with community colleges who are hosting them, St. Clair County Community College in Michigan and Montgomery County Community College in Pennsylvania. Fantastic vision from those folks who, you know, it's a college where they're serving college students, but they are reaching out as part of their community effort to the K through 12 students to bring them on site and work with them and help that community and help those students see a pathway in their lives. And that's a really noble effort, and we're proud to partner with them.
Let me translate this. Bueno, como pudieron ver en el pequeño vídeo, el Challenger Center es un espacio donde se vive la exploración espacial, donde los estudiantes y los maestros son parte de una misión, como si ellos fueran los astronautas. Así que tienen que trabajar en equipo, tienen que desarrollar todas esas habilidades, ¿verdad? Que estamos hablando todo el tiempo de pensamiento crítico, las destrezas del siglo XXI. Así que ahora mismo hay unos 40 Challenger Centers a través de Estados Unidos. Ellos están hay 2 nuevos en los próximos 7 meses, uno en Filadelfia y otro en Detroit, y sirven sobre 250,000 estudiantes anualmente, y ahora pues hay una serie de programas digitales que también están disponibles. I just want to add, Dr. Lance Bush, because I know many people do not know this, because we've been trying to pursue a Challenger Center for EcoExploratorio, and we keep trying. right? We keep trying. We are moving forward, hopefully, so that we can have this wonderful experience for our students here in Puerto Rico. I know that they will, I mean, NASA comes to Puerto Rico, Dr. Lance, every year to get students from the University of Puerto Rico in Maya West and many other universities, because there are so many talented people here, and we can do more. We can push more people to the pipeline in STEM education, and because of these activities and experiences, you open the eyes, you give an opportunity to these students so they can keep dreaming. What would be the message for the students of Puerto Rico? And what would be the message to the island to have a Challenger Center? I will say it like that.
Well, to the students, we are, I'm going to turn this back to them. We're depending on you. The future needs brilliant, hardworking students to look at the challenges of tomorrow. And I'm very optimistic that you're up for it and you can do it. And there are a lot more things, that challenges you can take on and solve, but also things that you will make the world a much better place we haven't even thought of. And this is your opportunity. This is your time. Grab it. Enjoy the journey going forward. As to your talking to Puerto Rico, look, we stand Challenger Center. We stand ready to work with anybody who joins us in the mission of engaging, inspiring young people to help change the world. And out of working with you and your colleagues, I know that's who you are in your heart and soul. So we would love to be there. From a personal perspective, I actually worked when I was at NASA. I had colleagues who like you described. I remember a couple key colleagues who were from Puerto Rico and worked very hard and made it to NASA. They're still good friends of mine. And so I'd like to help increase that pipeline. And also just, a real personal note, one of my childhood heroes was from Puerto Rico. I told you I grew up in a coal mining village. I grew up in Pennsylvania. It was none other than Roberto Clemente. Some of your listeners, that may be a long history past, but wow, a better human, one of the best humanitarians of my life. I mean, he was a phenomenal athlete. He was an MVP, a World Series winner. He was all those things that, you think are really cool, but in his heart, I mean, he died giving humanitarian aid to people of another country. And by him, he was in a plane that he rented and was taking supplies to them in the prime of his life. And so, those are the people who push me forward and say, as a role model, I need to do more. And he's from Puerto Rico. So, I have high regard. And yeah, I look forward to working with you on this.
Oh, those are beautiful words, Dr. Lance Bush. Wow, it goes right to my heart and my soul, because we know his family, and they are, such a beautiful family, and they have gone through so much, right? He was delivering aid because of an earthquake in Nicaragua. So that actually also is very compelling. Let me translate this for the students and for our listeners. Le pedí un mensaje final para los estudiantes y también para Puerto Rico. Para los estudiantes, él dice, yo no tengo un mensaje, ustedes son el futuro de Puerto Rico, ustedes son los brillantes, ustedes tienen aquí unas oportunidades únicas, agárrenlas, háganse de ellas y vayan hacia adelante. Lo que tú quieras, lo vas a lograr. Este es el momento de grandes retos, pero es el momento de buscar las soluciones. Y yo, ¿verdad? Aquí en una nota aparte les puedo decir que en los retos y en las soluciones valen las acciones. Y uno hace acciones un día a la vez, pero háganlas. Hagan la diferencia en su comunidad, en su familia, en su iglesia, en su barrio, en su condominio, no importa de dónde me estén escuchando. Y para Puerto Rico, Él dice que, ¿verdad? Nosotros queremos, en el EcoExploratorio, tenemos una alianza con el Challenger Center para que el Challenger Center sea parte del EcoExploratorio, que cuando tú entres al EcoExploratorio haya un área que es el Challenger Center donde tú vas a disfrutar y aprender sobre el espacio. Ciertamente no lo hemos podido lograr porque no hemos podido construir el museo como quisiéramos, ¿verdad? Tenemos propuestas para construir, pero no se han materializado. Por lo tanto, pues seguimos intentando. Aquí la palabra es, ¿verdad? No desistir, pero si obtenemos el apoyo que queremos y deseamos para poder lograr esto, el Challenger Center es un mecanismo para poder traer e inspirar más estudiantes y jóvenes y niños dentro de las áreas de ciencia. Él dice que como una nota personal, uno de sus héroes de niño, ¿quién era? Roberto Clemente. Y que, o sea, sin pensar en otra cosa, ese fue uno de sus modelos para seguir. ¿Qué fuente mayor de humildad que en una persona que estaba en su punto más alto en la carrera de su vida? O sea, saca de su tiempo para llevar ayuda humanitaria a Nicaragua cuando había ocurrido el terremoto y lamentablemente fallece en un avión. Hay veces que estas experiencias, and I'll say this in English, as I was telling the story about Roberto Clemente. I mean, you have moved by experiences where we have lost heroes. We have lost heroes, and they are moving us forward to do great things for our communities, for the nation, for our island, for the world. We don't know how we are used in many ways, but somehow we connect. And it's because of these connections that we can do great things. And I really appreciate, Dr. Bush, the opportunity you are giving us to at least dream of having a Challenger Center in Puerto Rico. And I hope that, you know, this whole situation in the island has been very difficult the last 4 years, as you know. But we are going to persist because we want to see this happening, because we need to keep inspiring our children into greater things. And I really appreciate you, Jason Getz, the entire Challenger Center for supporting us into this. And I really appreciate the opportunity to celebrate the National Space Day with you. And I hope that we don't wait another year to see us virtually. We want to see you here in Puerto Rico, right? So hopefully, let's see, by October or November, you come down here, and then we can do more, because I know that somehow we will get this done.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the visit, and I want to go to a Caballeros game.
Okay. Well, I'll need to find the season, and I'm not a sport expert, I confess, but I'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, if it means I have to come again, that's okay too.
Okay, that's a deal. Let's see if I have any final major questions. Everyone is saying thank you. It's spectacular. It's an honor to be right here in your presence. Thank you so much. It's a great honor to meet you. We want to see that Netflix special. Thank you. Good afternoon. Communities from Lares. Thank you for letting us dream. So I don't know, Henrik, do you have any other questions?
Well, no, we don't have any other questions other than a great thanks for all your hard work and inspiring so many lives, so many children throughout the years.
Thank you for having me today, and thank you, listeners, for taking your time to listen in. And I do hope that we'll be able to bring more of the Challenger Center experience to you, as Ada said, in the next year. And so we'll be hopefully we'll be doing this in person, as you said, not virtually. But you know, virtual's okay too. We could do more of that, but let's get some of that in-person stuff. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend as well coming up.
Thank you, Dr. Lance Bush, the Director President of the Challenger Center. He has given us the honor of being in Puerto Rico through the Ciencia Virtual platform, and we really appreciate your time. And I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed it.
It was wonderful. Thank you, Ada. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Henrik.
Muchísimas gracias nuevamente al Dr. Lance Bush, presidente y CEO del Challenger Center, y gracias a nuestra presidenta y fundadora, la meteoróloga Ada Monzón, por estar con nosotros en esta sección especial de Ciencia Virtual. Y gracias a todas y todos ustedes por estar conectadas y conectados a Ciencia Virtual, la cual esta semana se ha dedicado principalmente a la concienciación sobre la salud de los niños. Y exhortamos a que entre a nuestra página de Facebook o nuestro canal en YouTube, donde encontrará los primeros 3 webinars de esta semana que se dedicaron al COVID-19, a la AS y al asma, especialmente en los niños. Hoy celebramos el Día Nacional del Espacio con la entrevista del Dr. Lance Bush y la meteoróloga y presidenta del EcoExploratorio, Ada Monzón. Si por alguna razón se perdieron de parte de esta entrevista en vivo, o si desean compartir la entrevista para que más personas conozcan de ella, pueden entrar a nuestra página de Facebook o nuestro canal en YouTube ya para el fin de semana, y encontrarán esta entrevista en su totalidad una vez terminemos este live streaming. Así que si quieren, pueden ya ir entrando a nuestra página de Facebook, denle like al EcoExploratorio y estén pendientes porque rapidito que terminemos estará disponible para que ustedes compartan con sus familiares, con sus amistades, con sus maestros, con sus estudiantes a través de las diferentes plataformas. Y no olviden que mañana tendremos nuestro último webinar de la semana, mañana sábado a las 3 de la tarde, celebrando el Día Mundial de las Aves Migratorias. Estaremos junto a nuestros educadores Luis Fernández y Atenas Leandri para celebrar el gran día, conociendo diferentes aves que año tras año, por temporada, visitan nuestra isla de Puerto Rico y el archipiélago de Puerto Rico. Entiéndase también Vieques, Culebra, Isla de Mona y todas las islitas de nuestro pequeño archipiélago. Eso será mañana a las 3 de la tarde en Ciencia Virtual. Y muy pendiente la semana que viene, muy pendiente este fin de semana, porque saldrán las promociones de la semana que viene, la cual estaremos celebrando el acuerdo colaborativo con el Observatorio de Arecibo, junto también a múltiples invitados quienes estarán trayéndonos un sinnúmero de temáticas relacionadas a rocas espaciales, a la astrobiología y los exoplanetas, entre otras temáticas relacionadas a la exploración espacial. Eso será la semana que viene en Ciencia Virtual, y el miércoles 12 tendremos una sesión especial comenzando a las 11:30 de la mañana. Muy pendientes a nuestras redes sociales para ese calendario, porque a las 11:30 de la mañana el miércoles 12 de mayo estaremos celebrando el Día del Sol Cenital, cuando podremos cerca del mediodía tener el sol directamente derechito desde el cielo, directamente sobre nosotros, y este fenómeno que se da una vez al año crea unos efectos visuales y una relación bien interesante con la luz que nos llega desde el sol. Eso será el miércoles a las 11:30 de la mañana en una sesión especial de Ciencia Virtual. Y ustedes se preguntarán, Henrik, ¿dónde puedo conseguir toda esa información? Pues en el EcoExploratorio, a través de ecoexploratorio.org/ciencia virtual, encontrarán el calendario para el fin de semana, encontrarán el calendario de nuestros eventos especiales, y si ya es parte de nuestra base de datos, por correo electrónico, muy pendiente que estará recibiendo ese calendario una vez esté publicado. También, si buscan qué hacer con sus familiares, con sus niños en casa, y tiene que ver con la ciencia porque les gustan explorar, esas niñas y niños les gusta explorar diferentes áreas de la ciencia y realizar experimentos. Puede entrar a nuestra tiendita en línea, tienda.ecoexploratorio.org, donde encontrará un sinnúmero de artículos, entre ellos nuestra cajita científica. Con la cajita científica tendrán la oportunidad de manera segura y divertida, realizar múltiples experimentos de aeronáutica, de química, de ingeniería, de una manera segura y divertida, con la ciencia divertida del EcoExploratorio. Así que puede entrar a tienda.ecoexploratorio.org para adquirir su cajita científica y una vez la ordene, luego de un periodo de aproximadamente de 5 días laborales, tendrá la oportunidad de, uno, venir a buscarla aquí en el EcoExploratorio o que le llegue por correo. Así que tienda.ecoexploratorio.org. Muchísimas gracias a todas y todos. Nos vemos entonces mañana con más de Ciencia Virtual aquí en el EcoExploratorio, Museo de Ciencias de Puerto Rico. Que tengan todos un bonito día y bonito fin de semana. Nos vemos.